The knock came at exactly 9:07 a.m. 3 sharp raps. Official. Practiced. I was in the garage pretending to organize tools, listening to the rain tick against the door, when I heard my wife call out, calm as ever, "I've got it." That calm should have warned them. 2 men stood on our porch in dark blue uniforms that were almost convincing, badges clipped too low, belts too clean, patches stitched just a little crooked. One was tall and stiff, the other short with restless eyes. Both wore the same smug expression I'd seen 100 times before on people who thought authority was a costume. Homeowners Association, the tall one said, flashing his badge without letting it settle. Routine inspection. My wife, Lena, smiled politely. The kind of smile that disarms you before you realize you've been measured and found wanting. I don't recall scheduling an inspection, she said. The short one stepped forward, invading her space. You don't need to. Clause 14b. Exterior and interior compliance checks. Interior. That was the tell. I took a step toward the door, but Lena subtly lifted a finger behind her back. Wait. A gesture so small no one noticed. Except me. I froze. May I see your credentials? She asked. The tall one scoffed. Ma'am, are you refusing an HOA inspection? I'm asking a question. The short one leaned in closer. We can make this difficult if you want. That's when Lena's smile faded, not into fear, but into something colder. Sharper. Come in, she said, stepping aside. They exchanged a quick glance. Predators sensing an open gate. Inside, the house was spotless. Too spotless. Neutral colors. Minimal furniture. No family photos on the walls, just abstract art and clean lines. The kind of place that gives nothing away. The short one wandered toward the hallway. We'll start with the back rooms. Actually, Lena said, closing the door behind them. Let's start with your badges. The tall one turned. Excuse me? She moved fast. Not aggressive, precise. She reached out, flicked the tall man's badge with 2 fingers. It spun, revealing the cheap magnetic clip underneath. HOA badges don't use neodymium magnets, she said calmly. They use pinned clasps. Yours are counterfeit. The room changed. The short one's hand dropped toward his belt. Lady, you don't know what you're. Lena pivoted, caught his wrist mid-motion, twisted once. A sharp crack echoed as he went to his knees, gasping. The tall one lunged. Bad move. Lena sidestepped, swept his leg, and guided him face first into the hardwood with controlled force. Not enough to break bones. Enough to end the fight. I stared. Even after 10 years of marriage, she still surprised me. She knelt between them, voice low and steady. You're not HOA. You're not cops. And you picked the wrong house. The tall one groaned. You assaulted federal officers. She reached into a drawer, pulled out a slim leather wallet, and flipped it open just long enough for them to see the seal. Central Intelligence Agency.
Wrong, she said.
You impersonated officials, attempted unlawful entry, and threatened a protected asset. Their faces drained of color. Outside, sirens began to rise, soft at first, then louder. Closer. I finally stepped into the room. Honey, I said, should I call a lawyer? She looked up at me and smiled again. This time, it was real. No need, she said. They already did. And as the sirens stopped right outside our door, the fake cops finally understood one simple truth. This was never an inspection. It was their last mistake. The sirens didn't scream. They whispered, controlled, deliberate. The kind that meant whoever was coming already knew exactly what they were walking into. Lena rose smoothly from the floor, checking the 2 men with quick, professional glances. Both were alive. Both were restrained with zip ties she somehow had ready. I'd stopped asking questions like, where did those come from years ago? Sit tight, she told them. If you move, things get worse. The tall one swallowed hard. You can't do this. You'll regret it. She tilted her head, studying him like a problem on a whiteboard. Regret implies uncertainty. I don't have any. A knock followed, firm, confident. Not the HOA kind. Lena opened the door to reveal 3 men and 1 woman in plain clothes. No uniforms. No wasted motion. One flashed credentials, so fast I barely caught the letters. FBI. Another scanned the street, already moving to secure the perimeter. The woman in front locked eyes with Lena and exhaled. You okay? Never better, Lena replied. They came in pretending to be HOA inspectors. Yeah, the woman said dryly. That's becoming a thing. They stepped inside. The fake officers started talking all at once, threats, excuses, half-formed lies. One of the agents crouched, examined the badges, then looked up. Cheap replicas. Serial numbers don't match any registry. Because they're not meant to, Lena said. They're meant to scare homeowners into opening doors. The woman nodded. We've had reports. Suburban neighborhoods. Middle-income areas. Targets with no obvious patterns. I cleared my throat. So, who are they really? Everyone paused. Lena glanced at me, then back to the agents. You want to tell him, or should I? The woman agent sighed. They're contractors. Not government. Hired muscle. Hired by who? I asked. Unknown, she said. That's the problem. The tall fake cop laughed weakly. You think they'll protect you? You don't even know who you crossed. Lena knelt in front of him again. Oh, I know exactly who you crossed. You just don't know why. One of the agents pulled Lena aside. Their voices dropped. I caught fragments. Same week as Arlington. Data leak possibility. She was on the old list. Old list? The shorter fake cop started shaking. We were just told to check compliance. That's it. Lena turned back sharply. Compliance with what? Silence. She leaned in. You're not brave. You're not trained. Which means someone lied to you. And liars don't hire people unless they're disposable. That did it. The man broke. Okay, he blurted. We were given addresses. Told to go inside, confirm occupancy, check for modifications. That's all I know. Modifications, the FBI agent asked. Basements. Garages. Server rooms. Safes. Anything unusual. My stomach tightened. Our garage. My tools. The locked cabinet. Lena insisted we never open together. Lena's expression didn't change, but her eyes hardened. Who gave you the list? I swear I don't know a name, he said. Just an email handle. Payment in crypto. Instructions updated daily. Did they mention me? Lena asked. The man hesitated. That was answer enough. The agents exchanged looks. The woman nodded once. We need to escalate. She turned to Lena. You're officially compromised. Lena exhaled slowly. I figured. Compromise, I repeated. As in danger? Lena reached for my hand. Squeezed it. As in things are about to get loud. The FBI agents moved fast after that. Phones out. Calls made. The fake cops were hauled up, heads down, bravado gone. Before leaving, the woman agent stopped at the door. You shouldn't stay here tonight. I know, Lena said. She looked at me. Pack essentials. No electronics you don't absolutely need. I tried to smile. This feels like one of those moments couples talk about later, right? Lena smiled back, soft, apologetic. If we're lucky. Within an hour, our quiet street was empty again. No sirens. No neighbors. Just rain and the echo of what almost happened. We sat on the couch, bags packed. Lena, I said quietly, how long have they been looking for you? She stared at the wall. Not me. What I know. What do you know? She finally looked at me. Enough to make people very uncomfortable. A phone buzzed, hers. One word on the screen. Move. She stood. Time to go. As we stepped out into the night, I realized something chilling. Those men weren't sent to arrest my wife. They were sent to see if she was still here. And whoever sent them now knew the answer. We didn't take our car. That alone told me how serious this was. A black SUV waited 2 streets over, engine running, lights off. The driver never looked at us, just unlocked the doors the moment Lena tapped the window in a specific rhythm. 3 taps. Pause. 2 taps. Inside. The air smelled like clean fabric and cold focus. No phones, the driver said calmly. Power them down. Batteries out. I did as told. Lena already had hers disassembled, pieces wrapped in foil, and slid into a pouch. Of course she did. As the SUV rolled forward, our house disappeared behind a turn. No goodbye glance. No closure. Just gone. Where are we going? I asked. Safe house, the driver replied. Temporary. Lena corrected him. Very temporary. He nodded. That's what worries me. The city lights thinned as we moved toward an industrial stretch near the river, warehouses, closed shops, places no one noticed after dark. The SUV pulled into an underground garage beneath what looked like an abandoned office building. Inside, the safe house was bare, but functional. Fold-out beds. A metal table. No windows. Cameras covering every angle of the hallway outside. The driver finally turned to us. You've got maybe 6 hours here. After that, you're ghosts. He looked at Lena. They're accelerating. I know, she said. They wouldn't burn assets like that unless the clock moved. He hesitated, then looked at me. You weren't supposed to be part of this. I almost laughed. Yeah, that's been the theme today. When he left, silence settled in heavy layers. I sat on the edge of the bed. Okay, I said. No more half answers. Lena didn't argue. She pulled a slim tablet from her bag, powered it on, and slid it across to me. A single encrypted file opened. Maps, names, timelines. Lines connecting people across agencies, corporations, shell companies. What you're looking at, she said, is a shadow procurement network. Off-books. International. They siphon classified tech before it's officially buried. I swallowed. And you're? The analyst who proved it exists, she said. And who identified the buyers. That sounds like something Internal Affairs would handle. She shook her head. If Internal Affairs weren't already compromised. I scrolled. Familiar logos jumped out. Defense contractors, logistics firms, even neighborhood management companies. HOAs, I muttered. Perfect cover, Lena said. Access. Authority. No one questions them. My stomach turned. So, those men today. We're testing, she said. Not arrest. Not retrieval. Confirmation. Confirmation of what? She met my eyes. Whether I'd gone quiet, or whether I was still a threat. A soft beep interrupted us. One of the cameras flickered. Lena was on her feet instantly, tablet gone, lights off. She moved like a switch had flipped. No panic, just readiness. Footsteps echoed faintly in the garage below. Too many. The door handle outside twitched once. Twice. A voice came through the hallway. Calm. Professional. Lena, we know you're in there. This doesn't have to escalate. She leaned close to me and whispered, whatever happens, don't speak unless I tell you. My heart hammered, but I nodded. The voice continued. You've done your job. Hand over the data, and you walk away. Lena stepped into view of the camera. You sent impostors into my home. A pause. That wasn't authorized. She smiled, cold and knowing. Then you've already lost control. Silence stretched. Then the voice changed, harder now. Last chance. Lena reached down, pressed a single button on her watch. Every screen in the room went black. The building lights died. Somewhere deep below us, alarms started screaming. She grabbed my hand. Time's up. A hidden panel slid open in the wall, revealing a narrow passage lit by emergency red. As we ran, I finally understood the truth that hit harder than any siren. This wasn't a chase anymore. It was a cleanup. And my wife was the loose end they couldn't afford to leave alive. The passage was narrow and unfinished, concrete walls brushing my shoulders as we ran. Red emergency lights pulsed like a heartbeat, throwing Lena's shadow forward in sharp angles. She knew this route. That terrified me more than the alarms. Left, she whispered, pulling me hard just as a door behind us burst open. Voices echoed, controlled, trained, not panicked. Not amateurs. We spilled into a stairwell that dropped instead of climbed. Lena skipped steps, never breaking stride. At the bottom, She stopped abruptly and pressed her palm against a blank wall. It slid open. We slipped through just as heavy boots thundered past above us. The room beyond was small, utility-sized, with a single vehicle parked inside. Not a car. Something compact, matte black, unmarked. The door sealed shut behind us. I bent over, hands on my knees, breathing hard. Please tell me this was part of the plan. Lena tapped a code into the wall panel. It was a contingency. That's not comforting. She glanced at me, eyes sharp but steady. You're doing great. That almost made me laugh. The vehicle hummed to life on its own. No keys. No ignition. A ramp began to descend, revealing a dark tunnel sloping downward. Where does this go? I asked. Under the river, she said. And then somewhere no one's watching. I stared at her. You planned for this? I planned for everything except them finding us this fast, she admitted. That part changed. The ramp locked into place. The vehicle moved, smooth and silent, accelerating into darkness. Overhead, faint vibrations hinted at chaos we were leaving behind. After a few minutes, the tunnel widened and lights flickered on. The ride slowed, then stopped inside another sealed chamber. Different location. Same secrecy. The door opened to reveal a woman in her 40s, silver hair pulled tight, eyes that missed nothing. She wore civilian clothes but carried authority like a second skin. She looked at Lena and shook her head. You were told to burn everything. I did, Lena replied. Except the proof. The woman's gaze slid to me. And him. Lena didn't hesitate. He stays. A long pause. Finally, the woman nodded. Then things just got more complicated. She handed Lena a thin folder. They've gone public inside the network. Quietly. Your name's circulating as active and hostile. I frowned. That sounds bad. The woman allowed a thin smile. It's worse. It means they're scared. She turned to Lena. But it also means you can't run anymore. Lena exhaled slowly. So we flip it. That's the idea. The woman looked at me again. You understand that from this moment on, your life before today is over? I thought of our house, our street, the quiet routines. Then I looked at my wife, standing tall, unbroken, dangerous to the wrong people. I figured that out when fake cops tried to inspect my living room, I said. For the first time, the woman laughed. Good, she said. Because you're about to help us set a trap. Lena turned to me. I'm sorry, she said softly. I squeezed her hand. Just tell me what comes next. She smiled, not the cold one, not the polite one, but the honest one. Next, she said, we let them think they're winning. Somewhere far above us, people were scrambling, deleting files, making calls. They believed the loose end was running. They had no idea it was turning around. They gave us new names within the hour. Not aliases, identities. Documents, so clean they felt heavier than paper should. Phones that rang only when they were meant to. Clothes waiting in sealed bags, already tagged to people who technically existed. The silver-haired woman, Margaret, she finally allowed us to call her, laid everything out on the table. Your attackers believe Lena is fleeing, she said. Scared. Isolated. Protecting a civilian spouse. She glanced at me. No offense. None taken, I said. I feel very civilian right now. That assumption, Margaret continued, is our leverage. Lena studied the map on the screen. They'll tighten the net. Smaller teams. Less noise. And more mistakes, Margaret said. That's where you come in. She tapped a location glowing faintly red. A quiet suburb. Too quiet. A decoy site, Margaret said. They've used it before. A shell HOA management office. From there, they route addresses, fake violations, inspection schedules. My stomach clenched. So, the front door. Exactly, she replied. We want them to think Lena is desperate enough to poke it. Lena raised an eyebrow. You want me visible? Yes, Margaret said. But not reckless. All eyes turned to me. You, Margaret said, are the reason this works. I blinked. I don't know how to spy. You don't need to, she said. You need to look normal. She slid a photo across the table.
Me.
From yesterday. In my jacket. Leaving a grocery store I vaguely remembered passing weeks ago. They already have partial surveillance, she explained. You've been background noise. A non-threat. Lena frowned. Until today. Until today, Margaret agreed. Which is why you'll be the one they follow. Silence settled. Lena turned sharply.
No.
I spoke before she could finish. Yes. She stared at me. Absolutely not. I took her hands. They already dragged me into this by knocking on our door. If I can help end it, really end it, I'm in. Her jaw tightened. You're not trained. I'm careful, I said. And I trust you. Margaret watched quietly, then nodded. We'll keep eyes on him. Discreetly. Lena exhaled, defeated but focused. If anything feels off, you abort. No heroics. I smiled weakly.
Deal.
By evening, I was sitting alone in a cafe 2 blocks from the decoy office, sipping bad coffee and pretending to scroll my phone. Across the street, a man leaned against a parking meter. Too still. Too aware. Another sat in a car down the block, engine off, eyes hidden behind tinted glass. They'd taken the bait. My phone buzzed once. A single word from Lena.
Scene.
I stood, tossed my cup, and walked toward the office building like I had a reason to be there. Behind me, footsteps followed. What they didn't know, what they couldn't know, was that every step I took was drawing them closer to exposure. Because, while they were watching me, my wife was already inside their system. And she wasn't running anymore. The HOA office looked exactly like it should. Beige paint. Frosted glass. A cheap plaque by the door that read community standards and compliance. The kind of place you'd forget existed 5 seconds after walking past it. I didn't forget. I felt the eyes before I saw them. Reflections in windows. The soft crunch of footsteps stopping when I stopped. Margaret had warned me about that. They'll mirror you. Don't acknowledge it. I pushed the door open. Inside, a receptionist smiled too quickly. Can I help you? I leaned on the counter, playing irritated homeowner. I got a notice about my property. I need to talk to someone. She scanned a clipboard that was clearly blank. Name? I gave her my new one. She nodded like it meant something. Have a seat. I sat. The waiting room smelled like stale coffee and printer ink. A TV in the corner played a muted loop about lawn heights and trash bins. Normal. Harmless. That's when my phone vibrated once in my pocket, silent, coded.
In.
Lena was inside their system. A door opened. A man in a polo shirt stepped out. Mid-30s. Friendly face. Dead eyes. Mr. Harris? He asked. I stood. That's me. He led me down a hallway lined with framed certificates. Some real, most not. As we passed the last door, I noticed it had no window. No sign. He opened it. Go ahead. The room was small.
Desk. Chair.
Another chair across from it. No camera, at least not visible. He sat, steepled his fingers.
So.
You received a notice. Yeah, I said. Something about unauthorized modifications. He smiled thinly. We take community standards very seriously. Funny, I replied. Because the notice wasn't signed. His smile faltered just a fraction. Clerical error, he said. My phone buzzed again. 2 pulses this time. Found them. I leaned back. You know what else is a clerical error? He raised an eyebrow. Sending fake inspectors to the wrong house. The air changed. Not dramatically. Just enough. His hand moved toward the desk drawer. Before he could open it, every light in the building flickered.
Once. Twice.
Then the TV in the waiting room blared to life at full volume. Not lawn care anymore, but scrolling text.
Names. Dates.
Transfers. The man froze. From my pocket, my phone buzzed nonstop now. Messages stacking faster than I could read. Live feed active. Payment chains exposed. HOA shells linked. I stood. What's happening? He demanded. I met his eyes. An inspection. Sirens wailed in the distance. Not rushing, not chaotic. Coordinated. He bolted for the door. It didn't open. The locks clicked, one by one, sealing the hallway. Over the speakers, a calm female voice filled the building. Attention! Remain where you are. Federal authorities are en route. Margaret. The man slumped back into his chair, color draining from his face. You don't understand what you've done. Oh, I said quietly. I do. Outside, vehicles screeched to a halt. Doors slammed. Voices barked commands. My phone vibrated one last time. A message from Lena. You're safe.
Come home.
As agents flooded the building, cuffing people who'd spent years hiding behind clipboards and fake rules, I realized something profound. They hadn't been caught because of force. They'd been caught because they underestimated one thing. A quiet house, a normal spouse, and a woman who refused to disappear. This time, the inspection was real, and it was long overdue. Dawn broke quietly. No sirens, no shouting. Just pale light creeping through the safe house windows like the world pretending nothing had happened. I sat at the table, hands wrapped around a mug I hadn't tasted once. Across from me, Lena stood at the window, watching shadows move outside, agents packing up, vehicles rotating out, the aftermath of a storm that never made the news. Margaret entered without knocking. It's done, she said. Lena didn't turn. Done or just exposed? Margaret allowed herself a tired smile.
Both.
We rolled up 3 shell offices overnight. Seized servers, wallets, contracts. Enough evidence to choke a courtroom. And the rest? Lena asked.
They're scattering, Margaret said.
That's good news. When people scatter, they make mistakes. I finally spoke. What happens to us? Margaret looked at me carefully. That depends on what you want. Lena turned then. He's not going into hiding forever. No, Margaret agreed. But life won't snap back into place either. She slid a thin envelope onto the table. Inside were new documents, cleaner than the last set. Officially, Margaret said, you were the victim of an HOA fraud scheme. That story will hold. And unofficially? I asked. She met my eyes. You're trusted. Both of you. Lena crossed the room. What about the people who sent them? Margaret's expression hardened. They lost access. They lost cover. And they lost patience. That means retaliation, Lena said. It means attempts, Margaret replied. Not success. Silence settled again. Then Margaret added, there's one more thing. She handed Lena a tablet. On the screen was a paused video, security footage from our old street. The fake inspector's car idling. A timestamp from weeks before the knock. They weren't just checking occupancy, Margaret said quietly. They were mapping habits. I felt a chill. So this really started before us. Lena nodded slowly, which means ending it matters even more. Margaret straightened. I won't lie to you. Staying together makes you both targets. I reached for Lena's hand. So does separating. Margaret studied us for a long moment. Then she nodded once. Then here's my recommendation.
She tapped the tablet.
A new screen appeared, an internal memo draft. Task Force. Community Infiltration Networks. Advisor status. Active. You don't run, Margaret said. You don't hide. You consult. Quietly. Selectively. Lena raised an eyebrow. You're offering me a desk? I'm offering you a lever, Margaret replied. One they didn't know existed. And me? I asked. Margaret smiled faintly. You're the reminder that normal lives are what this is supposed to protect. Lena squeezed my hand. I warned you our life would get loud. I smiled back. It already did. This just sounds purposeful. Outside, the last black SUV pulled away. Margaret headed for the door. Get some rest. You've earned it. When she left, Lena leaned her forehead against mine. They'll never knock on our door like that again, she said. I nodded. Because next time, they'll know better, she finished. As the sun rose higher, warming a city that would never know how close it came to something ugly, I understood the real truth behind it all. Power doesn't always announce itself with uniforms and sirens. Sometimes it looks like a quiet woman opening her door and daring the wrong people to step inside.